Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. My name's Dave. Today we're talking about the newly revealed top 20 best-selling guitars of 2022. Some interesting ones made the list and some very interesting ones didn't. Hey folks, yes, top 20 selling guitars of 2022 already released. So we're not talking about it, but first hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, choose all notifications because that's helping out the channel. Hit the like button, do the comments, do all of those things. That'd be super cool of you. Helping out YouTube channel. All you got to do is hit the subscribe. There's more ways in the description. You can help out the channel in multiple ways. Check them all out down below. Now, we're going to talk about these top 20 guitars of 2022, but bear in mind it's still only November and this is only on Reverb, so not just secondhand guitars are sold in Reverb, of course new guitars as well. So this is kind of just the overall look. Reverb do this every year. They release lists of the best selling guitars, and this year we've got some interesting results. Now, I don't think it's too surprising that the PRS SE SilverSky is the #1 top selling guitar of the year. Just a hugely anticipated guitar that has sold in huge numbers and will continue to do so. Honestly, I wish you guys had stopped buying them so that they'll have to release better colors, but it's fine, just keep doing your thing. But yeah, #1 selling guitar on Reverb in 2022 so far. I think what Reverb do, by the way, is count November and December from this year into next year's figures, so do get still 12 months of information packed in here. So pretty good results from PRS, because #4 on the list is the American-made SilverSky. So they take up 2 spaces in the top 5, which is quite interesting considering they only have 4 entries altogether in the top 20. But let's talk about the breakdown of the top 20. So Fender steal the lead with 6 entries in the top 20 altogether. We'll run down the top 20 in a second. Squier also gets 6, so Fender technically have 12 listings in the top 20. Gibson, you might anticipate, would have loads, but they don't. They've only got 3 entries, and the emissions that I was talking about earlier, the Epiphone, have 0 guitars in the top 20. That might surprise you, because Epiphone have brought out some really interesting, very cool guitars this year, but yeah, a lot of them have been limited in numbers and stuff, and they haven't sold in the huge numbers, clearly, that other brands have. The only other brand breaking into the top 20 is the ESP LTD EC1000, which is a cool guitar in its own right. So that's what we're looking at in terms of that. Just some interesting stuff we'll talk about, but let's just go down the top 20 from 2021 so that you can have an idea of what's here and see if you can spot a guitar you've picked up, maybe. So let's start off with number 20, which is the PRS CE24. Very cool guitar. PRS knocking it out of the park with that one all the time. The Fender American Standard Stratocaster is 19. The Squier Paranormal Baritone Cabronita Telecaster, a very cool guitar, hits number 18. You've got the Fender American Standard Strat coming in at number 17. The Squier J Mascis Jazzmaster is number 16, which is the only signature model that isn't a SilverSky, of course, on the list. So that's pretty interesting in its own right. A very cool guitar if you're into Jazzmasters. Number 15 is the Squier Affinity Series Stratocaster. So we're hitting the super budget range there, which is no surprise. Cheap guitars sell. There you go. You've got the Squier Classic Vibe 60s Jazzmaster and then the 50s Telecaster in 14th and 13th position respectively. Number 12 goes to the ESP LTD EC1000. Then you've got Gibson entering the fray at number 11 with the Les Paul Classic. You've got the PRS SE Custom 24 in 10th, and then 9 is the Squier Affinity Telecaster, pretty high up on the list for an Affinity Telecaster. Again, very budget model, so no surprise it sells well. Number 8 is the American Professional 2 Telecaster from Fender. Gibson take up the next 2 spots. 7th is the Les Paul Standard 50s, and the Les Paul Standard 60s comes in at number 6. Probably selling a few more 60s because of that slim taper neck, which players find more comfortable. Nothing wrong with the 50s, of course. Fender Player Telecaster is the highest ranked Telecaster on the list at number 5. The PRS USA John Mayer SilverSky Thingamabob is number 4. Fender American Professional 2 Strat is number 3. Fender Player Stratocaster is number 2. And as we've already mentioned, the PRS SE SilverSky is the #1 selling guitar of the last 12 months. Very interesting stuff here. And as you can see, the guitars, there's a whole range of them. So there's like more expensive guitars, cheaper guitars. Of course, It depends how many they can make and how many they can ship and how many are in stock and all that sort of stuff, or how many they can sell. But things that stood out for me, obviously everyone loves the SilverSky. It doesn't matter if it's the American made one or the SE, they're selling in huge numbers. People love them, and I'm not surprised. The SE was one of the most anticipated guitars that I've ever seen. People were going crazy about it, probably to the same levels I think we're seeing for the Epiphone Adam Jones guitars. People are frothing at the mouth for those to come out, but who knows when they're actually going to arrive. Cesar did say that they'd be out in 2022. Time is ticking, Cesar. You want to get your guys on that. And speaking of Epiphone, not one entry in the top 20 of 2022. And I think this is probably a sign that they need to revamp the core lineup with Epiphone, because anyone who wanted one bought one. And your signature models will only take you so far up the rankings, especially when they're doing stuff like limiting the number of guitars that are in these signature model ranges, like the Bonamassa that came out recently. That's limited to, I think, 2,000 worldwide. There's all those things. So they haven't really brought out a core lineup boosting model this year. Hopefully we'll see some more adjustments to the Epiphone range next year so they can catch up on everyone else. Gibson, by the way, have a lot of catching up to do. Only 3 guitars made it, all Les Pauls, into the best-selling guitars of 2022. I think they'll be a bit disappointed with that. Les Paul standards, yeah, you would expect to see them on the list. So you got obviously the 50s and the 60s in there. No surprise they were very close to each other, to be quite honest with you. The Les Paul Classic hitting number 11, I think, is interesting, but no other Gibsons made the list. That's very surprising to me. Let me know what you think down below, if you think Gibson should have featured more, or maybe it's just because they're doing stupid shit like charging 50 grand for a greenie reissue. Who knows? I think Squier being on the list so heavily is a very interesting fact as well, because I've been saying it for over a year. They're kicking ass right now, Squier. They've got some really cool stuff. I've got my hands on a few of the Squiers over the last couple of years, and they're really, really good. The 40th anniversary Squier collection that's out right now, I think is going to heavily feature next year, because holiday sales will be in next year's numbers. And hey, those are pretty cool guitars. I am gonna have to pick up a couple of them myself, I think, very soon. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much the standouts for me. I think this list, look, it's just Reverb, so who knows? But over the list, I think it's very telling. Gibson are lagging behind everybody. PRS are the #1 selling guitar, and Fender are just kicking ass all over the place. Let me know if you've bought any guitars this year, what your favorite guitar of the year is. And don't forget, I'll be back for another guitar related video very soon. And until then, take care.